Welcome to the Perpetual Incompetence podcast, a journey in competitive self-improvement.
Bear witness as the three of us will endeavor to improve our lives by competing in a series of low-stakes challenges.
In each episode, we will come up with a challenge and then define the rules and metrics for victory.
We will have 2 weeks to do our best, and at the end, one of us will be crowned victor. Hi, I'm true believer Mike Collins.
Hi, I'm Master Yogi Dan Collins.
And I'm Travis Braband. Boy, it feels not good. I don't have any honorifics yet.
You'll get one.
All right.
You'll get there, buddy.
All right, we each have one idea for a challenge for us to attempt in the next 2 weeks. And after we've all presented, then we will decide whose idea is the best, and we'll go from there. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first this time. So here's my idea. I think for the next 2 weeks, and I guess I want to preface this with saying, this is something I desperately need. Dan needs it more than I do. I'm not so sure about you, Travis, but I think we should all work on improving our handwriting.
Oh.
Yeah.
To answer your question about whether or not I need it, when I was in high school, you know how you had to do like sports picture forms where you'd have to like fill out a form for how many pictures you want?
Yes.
When I did that, I wrote my name, which is Travis Braband, and they returned it. It was spelled Jarvis Brugard. So yeah, my handwriting could use some work.
I remember there was multiple occasions in high school where I got zeros on assignments because they couldn't read my name, which is Dan, D-A-N. They're like, it's like Owen. But.
All right, go ahead, Mike. You got any more?
Okay, well, that's basically it. The metric I was thinking for this would be most improved because everybody's kind of a little different. So like it'd be we have our first one, and then we have the one at the end of 2 weeks. So that's my idea.
Something to keep in mind. I think we might have had this issue with the yoga one a little bit. Is this is a audio medium?
Yes, that is true.
So
we can graphically describe each other's handwriting.
That might be kind of fun.
Well, we could make it like you have to write a paragraph, and if it's legible, I don't know. Anyways, so I'll go here.
That's a valid point. Go ahead, Dan.
Spoons.
Yes, like
go
them.
on. Like
that's it. So we're all musicians. We're all musicians. We all play probably a few different instruments, right?
Yes.
But I don't think any of us are very skilled with the spoons. And that is my challenge. Who can be the best spoonist?
Oh, that's horrible. I mean, it's good, but I would be horrible.
I think Dan has a definite advantage if we did that.
Yeah, like, you're like a percussionist, you know.
You play
genius,
the drums,
right?
Yeah, but I don't know how to play the spoons.
Okay.
I think the spoons are all about rhythm, right?
Yeah.
You have more of that than
there's not a lot of melody coming out of the spoons, I guess.
All right. Okay, so here's mine. You know, sometimes the world can seem like a very scary place, and that can start to get a little overwhelming. My suggestion would help us maintain a positive mental attitude. I suggest that for the next 2 weeks, we really focus on our own mortality and remember that everything that we love will eventually fade away.
Jesus. Wait, is that your challenge?
Yeah. Focus on your own mortality.
Okay.
I like there's a certain beauty in the kind of the progression of the podcast here. It's like, do yoga, become a believer, contemplate your own.
Think about death a lot.
Yeah. All right, so here's a little bit more of actual justification. Excuse me. So the Stoics.
You're thinking about Bieber.
Too much Bieber. He's stuck in my brain. So the Stoics have, they celebrate the phrase memento mori, which means remember that you will die. And the kind of the crux of that is that by contemplating and remembering that you're going to die, it forces you or it helps you to make the best of the time that you have on this earth. It helps you to maintain perspective. So the success criteria that I had in mind would be whoever can come up with the best way of maintaining perspective would win.
Oh man, that's so good.
I'm a little lost. I'm still a little lost.
So
So
you have like a philosophy degree, don't you?
yeah,
Didn't they
Okay.
have like, nihilism?
well,
That's kind of what
yeah.
it
I
is.
mean, so
Nihilism's a little different though.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
you
like just
that's
nothing matters, so there's no reason to do
yeah, that's
anything.
kind of the opposite. But like,
Right.
so you're saying who can come up with the best method of keeping
Maintaining perspective.
maintaining perspective
Yep.
of the fact
So,
that everything will die.
right. And that you cannot escape death, so don't
It's
worry
like
about it.
you have limited time on this earth, so you have to make the best of it.
Yep. It
Mm.
in a way, it's really a celebration of life by acknowledging and dealing with the idea head on that you will one day die. It can help and free you.
I
It
love
sounds like
how
you may struggle with this, Dan, which could be very good for you.
Mike was like handwriting, and I was like spoons, and you're like, hey, let's think about our own mortality,
Yeah,
guys.
well, that the reticence that you're feeling to me illustrates the need for it. Too many people
That is,
drift through life without contemplating that. This
I
it's
mean,
all has
that's it though, right? That's the one we're doing, right?
Well,
I mean,
clearly, I mean,
like,
that's the one we're
yeah,
doing.
100%. That's a good one. That's like an actual like a really good self improvement thing.
thanks. Thanks. I worked hard on it. Well, I will
Yeah.
soon. And right now I
That's
just thought
very
about it.
funny.
I will mention, I sort of got the idea from this. I was listening to a different podcast and they mentioned an app called WeCroak. And this application, all it does is it periodically sends you reminders on your phone. It basically, you'll get a little ding and then you look at your phone and it'll say, don't forget, you will die.
Hey,
Well,
just
I found
pop it
that
in
pretty
here.
fun.
Hey, good morning. You're gonna die. Don't forget.
Yep. So I mean, yeah, let's vote, I guess.
Well,
I
Yeah,
vote
well, I
for mine.
mean, it's yours. It's
we're
yours.
doing that one.
We're doing,
We have to do
yeah.
that one.
Awesome.
Okay. Well,
Great.
we need to hammer out this metric though.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I was trying to think about. Like, so it's who's gonna come up with the best method of keeping perspective.
Yes.
Um, do we need more than that?
I mean, I
I
guess
I,
I don't know if we do
I kind of
because
like
like
loosey goosey, like who did the Bieber. But go ahead.
yeah.
I mean,
No.
I think. Okay, how about this? We can give it some guidelines. Maybe like, is it? Well, I mean, I guess it would be in the best, but like, is it doable? You know, like the simplicity would be a good way to look at it. Um,
Sustainability.
Yeah, sustainability. Like,
sustainability,
is this
yeah,
something that you'll continue to do
yeah.
afterwards?
And
Okay,
then yeah, maybe
I
we
would
can
say
bonus points for people who have, contemplated and, have some of the most interesting thoughts about, you know, mortality.
yeah.
Who thought about it the most and has any epiphanies or has really felt an impact, maybe. I don't know.
okay,
What was I going to say? So to be like very clear, this is about your life. This isn't like what happens after you die. This is very much so a living to the fullest.
Right.
yeah,
So
We will not get into politics or religion on this podcast. So
yeah,
whatever happens before or after your life, we are not going to discuss, but
yeah.
just
This
really just
is
wring in as much juice out of life as you can.
wringing it out of there.
okay.
Fantastic.
And we can come up with multiple methods, right?
Sure.
Like if we just come up with like an array of ideas, and we do we have to do this? Because like, I mean, it might take me a few days to figure something out.
Yeah. Yeah. This is I mean, Mike, you can weigh in too, but I think that this is kind of a final product challenge. It's not
Yeah,
necessarily an everyday one, though. Maybe we all should install this app because I think it is an interesting. I've been like, it has genuinely helped me in the last few days where I get caught up in something at work and then like, you start to stress out and then you get a little ding on your phone and like, oh yeah, this is not worth worrying about.
Interesting.
That is interesting. That's yeah, that'll yeah. All right.
So maybe as an everyday kind of thing, we install, I already have it, but if you guys want to install that app,
Oh, I'm
and then
going to.
we'll kind of do an end product thing where we come up with our
Okay.
best ideas, and at the end of it we can talk about who has some of the more interesting thoughts or any mental changes that have occurred.
Cool.
Cool. All right, what's the honorific?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't have a good answer for that.
Defier of death.
Well,
Acknowledger of death.
Friend of
maybe
death.
harbinger of death. That's pretty good, actually.
Harbinger.
Like
I
I'm Travis.
feel like we can do better. That is solid, but
Mr.
future dust.
Mr. Mortality.
Mr. Mortality. Mr. Carpe Diem.
I like the idea of having death or something about death or
What about
in the
future
title.
corpse?
Oh, that's pretty. I like that actually.
That's pretty good. Future corpse. Yeah, can we spice that one up at all? That's pretty good though.
Soon to be dead. I don't know.
I do maybe we should just go with future corpse. That's
I like
pretty
future
good.
corpse. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right, that's
I like
one.
it too.
Yeah, I don't know if we can have a forecast for this one. I have no. Well, okay, so Dan has a philosophy degree
and a religion degree.
So I feel like he's got a leg up on making whatever he does sound more impressive than what I do.
Maybe. But at the same time, like you already have a memento mori calendar, don't you?
That's true. I've been doing this already, but I will say I have not. I need to get it back up to date though.
Sure.
It's like one of those ones that every week you check off a mark. So like, yeah, just one more week down, and it's a little disturbing to see how much it is filled up already. Okay, so yeah,
I think we all have the same. We're all starting at the same place here, more or less. Dan may have a little bit as far as his schooling.
I've read more books about it probably, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Let's do this.
Welcome back to the Perpetual Incompetence podcast. As a reminder, we recorded the first part of the podcast 2 weeks ago, and since then, we have embraced death as much as possible. A quick note, the sound quality in the first part of this wasn't the greatest. It should be much better now. As always, we appreciate you kind of bearing with us as we figure this stuff out. But in keeping with the theme of this episode, let's not waste time. Let's get right to our initial thoughts. Dan, you want to start us off? How did it go for you?
Pretty good. I'd say this, compared to Justin Bieber, this was a lot less work for me.
Sure. I was going to say, I would disagree with you on that. Like, this one was as much work as the Justin Bieber one was for me. This one, like, felt heavier, felt like more of an effort. I don't know, just because the content of it, I guess. It's not that it was hard, but it's just like
kind of heavy.
Yeah,
heavy.
exactly.
Yeah.
Weighed on you.
Sure. Yeah, if you want to jump into your submission here.
Yeah. So I kind of went with an introspective route on this one. I did a little bit of reading. Actually, it kind of just sort of happened, but I played this game called Outer Wilds. I don't know if you know about it. But the whole game, it's like a death loop. You're constantly dying and starting over, kind of like Groundhog Day.
Sure.
And it was kind of interesting, and it sort of worked into my final thoughts. But what the thing that really made me think clearer about the whole thing. So I wanted to use my new microphone that I am using right now, which sounds fantastic.
You sounds amazing,
great.
Dan.
Yes, thank you.
Very mellifluous.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I don't even know what that word means. it's so I actually just started recording myself talking about death and my own mortality.
Interesting.
And like I got like a couple hours of like different recordings of me just sitting here and just being like, well, like
Jeez.
it's kind of it's really therapeutic actually. I had some really good conversations with myself. And I kind of came away thinking about like what's most important in my life, you know, what makes me the happiest or most satisfied person. So Anthony Bourdain once said,
There you go.
I understand there's a guy inside me who wants to lay in bed, smoke weed all day, and watch cartoons and old movies. My whole life is a series of stratagems to avoid and outwit that guy. And I just sort of happened upon that. I wasn't really looking for it, and I was like, yeah, that kind of makes a lot of sense. So I was trying to think like what would the guy inside me do, and I thought it was pretty much the same, but maybe replace smoking weed with drinking beer. But I don't really want to avoid that guy. It doesn't sound like a bad guy. Sounds pretty chill, you know.
Sure, sometimes you can hang out with that guy.
Yeah. And I think kind of in a way, my life is sort of, I'm trying to be that guy. I just want to get home and watch cartoons and drink a beer, you know? But so instead of that guy, I was thinking like, what guy do I want to avoid? And the guy I want to avoid based on my inner, my recording myself talking about death is the guy who wastes his very precious time at an office, who sells his time for money. That's the guy that I want to avoid. So
Okay.
I have named this man Nad Smillock. And he is a monster. Nad wears freshly ironed white button-up shirt with thin blue lines on it, brown pants, and a belt that he bought at Target. Nad's face is cleanly shaven, and he has a full head of hair that is cut in such a way that you almost don't notice it because of how unremarkable it is. Nad drinks a low-fat latte from Starbucks every day and has a whole lot of reward points on his Starbucks account. Every morning when he comes into work at the office, he says horrible things to his coworkers like, "Happy Monday," and "Uh-oh, looks like somebody hasn't had their coffee yet." Nad doesn't have any hobbies, unless you count hiking as a hobby. Nad enjoys listening to the news. No, hiking is not a hobby. You're just walking. Come on. Nad enjoys listening to the news, but never has any opinions on it. However, he does have strong opinions about celebrity relationships. He doesn't know how to fix anything, but he's really good at Excel spreadsheets. He's perfectly happy and satisfied with his life and has made no attempt to better himself. Nad is a faceless demon who blends into the crowd with millions just like him. Nad haunts my dreams, and I am terrified of him. So, where's this going?
Yes.
So I decided that I will use all the precious time that I have in my life to avoid Nad, or God forbid, become Nad. So in short, I have given myself a nemesis.
Interesting.
So I have a picture of Nad hanging on my wall as a constant reminder of how I need to focus on the important things in my life with the time that I have, or risk becoming the greatest evil on this earth. So that's kind of my that's how I'm going to maintain perspective on life is rather than working towards something or focusing on my time, I'm going to focus on not becoming Nad.
What if you just don't understand Nad? What if Nad needs just a little bit of direction and he hasn't figured out what he wants to do with his life yet?
No, see, that's the thing. He's totally happy. He's never going to change.
Okay. He's happy with complacency or
yeah, exactly. I mean, he's not a real person, Travis. He's just he's a guy I made up.
Well, you need to imagine him as a danger. He's standing outside your window.
Yeah, exactly.
At any moment he could sneak in and replace you. and Dad would no longer exist.
He's floating outside your bedroom window, sipping a low-fat latte,
Yeah.
just waiting for his moment to pounce.
The next time you're walking around and you see a Target, you better cross to the other side of the street. You can no longer set foot in Target, Dan.
That's the only place he shops is Target.
Yeah, that's where he gets his lattes too.
So now you said you have a picture of Nad hanging up on your wall. Tell me about this picture. Did he like? Did you draw it? Did you have it commissioned by somebody?
Is it an Employee of the Month picture?
It is a stock photograph from Shutterstock of a dude sitting with a laptop.
There he is.
Sure.
That's him.
That's one thing right there.
One thing though, I will say, Dan, that some of the tendencies and stuff of Nad I could see being a real danger. I would say you're in no danger of having a full head of hair though.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Mike.
Yeah, Mike, you're one to talk. But...
Yeah. I was trying to just think of the antithesis of what I want to be or what I am, I guess. I mean, I don't know if you noticed, but his name is my name spelled backwards.
Yep. I did notice that.
Yep, we got that.
Okay, good.
And I appreciate that. I enjoyed that immensely.
Parts of Nad's attributes sort of like feel like, I don't know. I have a lot in common with Nad, sort of.
Well, that's the scary part. Is it's like I know Nad. I know people that are just like Nad, and that's,
I sell my time for money.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I
And I definitely, it kills me a little bit inside. But like if I'm buying a coffee at work on a Monday or whatever. And I'm like, I'm talking to somebody and they're like, oh, how's your weekend? Oh, pretty good, but it's Monday.
Yeah.
And I die a little bit inside.
Yes. Thank you. That's what I'm saying. Like it would be so easy to slip into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure.
All right. I'm going to jump in.
Okay.
Are you done, Dan?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, my experience, let me just kind of walk you through the path to enlightenment that I have taken here. So day one, which would be the Monday after we recorded the first part, I started listening to, actually it was a podcast that Travis had recommended, and it was a journey in memento mori. And the first episode was all about, planning for your death and like getting all your stuff taken care of, like, funeral plans and
power of attorney, how to dispose of your body.
Yeah, all those things. Yep. And so after listening to that and a few episodes like into that particular podcast, I was at work experiencing an existential crisis, basically. I was in the office and I was like, my heart was like beating fast and like, oh no. I need
staring at the beige wall of your cubicle.
Yeah, just like it was like pulling me into it like a black or a beige hole. Just like, oh man, what am I gonna do?
I sometimes refer to our cubicle farm as the beige oblivion.
Yeah. But anyway, so that happened, and I would say that took place around noon, and then I needed to pull myself out of that. So I think I took a break from the podcast and that this guy was talking about, and I think I'm not ashamed to say I listened to a Justin Bieber song to get my mind back in the right headspace.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And then I found a book on Audible. It was like Introductory Stoicism. The Stoics kind of started, well, I don't know if they started it, but it was a tenet of their philosophy, the memento mori, remember death. And that, I would say, pulled me back out of the funk, because it was all about the whole point of this exercise is to remember death so that you can live. And once I started wrapping my head around that, it became more of a call to action. And the more that you kind of that I was thinking about it and experiencing it, the more it became like, no, like I can look death in the face and say, I will live today. And so that's kind of where
Powerful.
I left at the end. Yeah. And so I then in that book I was listening to, he had mentioned mindfulness meditation. So I jumped into one of the great courses on Audible called it was like the Science of Mindfulness Meditation. And so I listened to the entire thing, and there's a lot of kind of concepts that are very highfalutin, but the core tenet is to be in the moment and experience the moment. And and then I was very turned on to the mindfulness meditation, which I think we should probably maybe dive into in another episode. But anyway, so with empowered by this was day one. So like I think I finished the mindfulness great course the next day because I listened to it basically straight through. And so then I was like, I started to form my plan for how I'm going to take charge of my life and instigate change and action. So I started searching for a mindfulness meditation that I could do every day for the past 2 weeks, which I did. And I found this one. It was just like a 7-minute guided meditation on impermanence and death. And basically the way that it works is you close your eyes and you imagine everything you own, and you put it on a platform and it disappears, and then you imagine all the people in your life and put them there and they disappear into nothingness, and then you put your family there and picture their voices, and then they disappear, and then eventually you get there and you disappear, and at the end of it you open your eyes, because it's just, and I would say it's a very intense kind of thing to think about.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, you open your eyes, and like the final thought is, "Isn't it great to be alive?"
Oh.
Because
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like, so I've been doing that every day, and I gotta say, it's powerful. So
Interesting.
Nice.
What's that called?
but it's I'll shoot you a link, but it's just this guy. I think it's like Secular Buddhism is the name of his YouTube channel, and it's just this one short meditation. And I just did the same one every day, and then so that I wouldn't forget this kind of concept, because I was doing it in the evenings, but I wanted it to remember it through my day. I own a label maker, and I've been going around my house trying to think of the places that I look and like spend the most amount of my time. So as I'm sitting here staring at my computer monitor, there's a label that says, "Don't forget, you're going to die."
There you go.
And then on my coffee maker, there's a label that says, "Don't forget, you're going to die."
How does
This may be your last cup of coffee.
how does Lindsay
And
feel
then-
about that?
Well, I don't know, she's shaking her head. But with that being said, my mother-in-law was over here a few days ago, and I told her about it, and she definitely did the guided meditation, and she was texting me and telling me that it was pretty awesome. So I was like, yeah,
That's awesome.
You're right, it is. And so also on my steering wheel, I have something, I don't have it right in front of me, but it basically says, "Everything you know and love will fade into nothingness."
Yes.
So that's my story. That's been my experience.
Awesome.
Wow,
That's
that
great.
sounds like you've made some like.
I've been places.
You've been-
I've been places in
yeah.
my mind, you guys.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So
I guess
what do
that-
you got, Travis?
That
Bring
just
it.
leaves me. All right. All right. I think similar to you guys, and similar to honestly the first other episodes of this podcast that we've done, came into this challenge with like a little bit of levity and kind of jokey and whatever. And then yeah, like the day one really diving in and like very quickly dropping into an existential crisis and like
Yeah.
what have we done? And on that I think it's the Adventures of Memento Mori.
Yeah.
in that first episode, he mentions the idea of like, oh, some people believe that just planning or thinking about death can bring it to you. So that was like a helpful,
Good.
like, oh, good. Is this episode of the podcast is going to kill us?
Yeah.
Well, we are going to die eventually. Right?
This is true. Yeah.
So I guess maybe it is. Maybe
Yeah,
not tomorrow, but someday.
Self-fulfilling, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, so I consumed various podcasts, books, and YouTube videos on Stoicism and Memento Mori. Similar to you, Mike, I think they have kind of an antidote to the existential crisis.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also, on Audible, they have some free books on there. I listened to a little bit of a book called Graceful Exits by Sushila Blackman. That book kind of chronicles the last words of a number of like Buddhist masters. That book was heavy into the reincarnation aspect. I found that didn't really jive with me, so I kind of moved away from that, which took me to a book called Staring at the Sun by Dr. Irvin Yalom. He's a psychiatrist, or has been for many years, and this book was his kind of recounting of various stories with patients, and how their, what he calls death anxiety, manifested, and kind of how he worked them through it. That was kind of a heavy book, obviously, but I was kind of enjoying it. I found the content very good for this podcast. Then I realized that he had another book called A Matter of Death and Life, written by him and his wife, Marilyn. All right, so A Matter of Death and Life. So this book was written by him and his wife. They both wrote sections, kind of alternating chapters. As she moved through terminal cancer, through the diagnosis, through her declining health, to her eventual death and his first 100 days after the death of his wife of 75 years. It was absolutely gut-wrenching. Like, I've never read a book like this. I've never chosen to, but they pulled no punches. They were both brutally honest. At one point in the book, he talks about how upset he is, or how angry he was that the hospice nurse that was tending to his wife gave her a little bit too much morphine, which put her into kind of a dozing, kind of a sleeping state, which they weren't sure if she was going to come out of. So he was kind of angry, not necessarily at the nurse, but just the realization was dawning on him that he would maybe never have another conversation with his wife.
This is rough. Just hearing you talk about it, man.
Yeah.
It's bringing me down.
Yep. We'll get there. Don't worry. So then he also talked about how, he was a psychiatrist. He had written books detailing how he had helped people through these same situations. If anybody was prepared to deal with this kind of stuff, it should have been him. But he talks about how none of that really helped him. It didn't seem like it was. He kind of gave the impression that no amount of preparation can help you deal with a loss like that. And talking about how many, living in the house that they had lived in for so long, there were so many reminders, so many phone calls to her phone, holidays, all that stuff. So, that book, I finished. It was about a 10-hour book, whatever, was on Audible. So that one really took me to, the depths of death anxiety and kind of, the low point of the journey.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So then I set out on a journey to kind of find ways to cope with that, how to deal with that. And maybe there's nothing you can do really when you get to that point. And when you experience a loss like that, it's going to be miserable, as I learned from him. But there are things you can do now that should help give you some solace as far as using your time wisely, I think. Yeah. So on my journey to finding kind of optimism, some hope in this dark place, I listened to an episode of the Daily Stoic podcast that had somebody named Kate Bowler. She also was diagnosed with, I think, some form of cancer that was supposed to be terminal. I think she ended up beating it. I'm not sure on that. But in that episode, she had a few things that were that kind of started to dig me out of the depths. She talked about, she said, The people who love you can find and connect with you through the work that you do, even long after you're gone. Which to me, Mike, we've talked a little bit about this, but this podcast being something that we're all doing, which we'll be putting it out on the internet, and maybe 20 years from now, my kids can listen to this and, connect with us. I think that would be pretty cool. I wish that I could, hear a conversation of my dad from 30 or 40 years ago, whatever.
Yeah. Yes.
She also said something that was like, I don't know, very efficient, I thought. She said, turn your minutes into moments, which I found to be a pretty good way of maintaining focus. And I think the general theme for this episode is going to be just stop wasting time.
Yeah.
Don't do things that don't matter to you.
Yeah.
What does that mean, turn minutes into moments?
So a minute is just a measurement of time. It's impersonal and they just happen. But a moment is something that's more memorable, more meaningful. That's how I interpret it, at least. So don't just like drift through life on your minutes or whatever. Make your minutes meaningful and turn them into moments.
It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that mindfulness, being in the moment kind of mindset, sort of same kind of thing. It sounds like.
Yeah, I think so. So back to Irvin Yalom. He mentioned there was some hope in there sprinkled in. I went back to Staring into the Sun, and he mentioned this idea that what terrifies people the most is not the loss of a future, but the loss of a past, basically to be forgotten entirely. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with that sentiment. For me, I don't think that I care really whether I'm remembered forever or not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something I've talked with myself about quite a bit.
Sure.
Yeah.
I decided that I don't care if I'm remembered or not.
What did you say about that?
What did I say? I mean,
No. What did you say?
Oh yeah, yeah.
What did Ned say?
Nad has never contemplated death before in his life.
That makes sense. Just by
sure.
looking at him, you can tell.
Yeah. So that sentiment didn't really register with me so much because I don't care that much. And I think we're on the same page here. I just mostly don't want to be one of the people who reach the end of their life and are frustrated at, kind of the wasted opportunities or not kind of cherishing the relationships in their life.
Yeah.
Another quote from Irvin Yalom, because I spent a lot of time with him these last 2 weeks. He said, "Of all the ideas I've employed to comfort patients dreading death, none has been more powerful than the idea of living a regret-free life." So my kind of guiding objective to maintaining perspective and focus on important things has been kind of seeking to live a regret-free life. So here are the things that I did, and there are several of them, so bear with me. I made a bucket list, pretty standard, middle of the road. I'll list off a couple of these. The bucket list I made it, so it's now framed and in my bedroom right now, so I'm going to look at it every day.
Nice,
dude.
A couple of them, I mean, your standard, see the Grand Canyon. I want to do some traveling with Holly, make a video game, which we're currently at work on.
Indeed.
Let's skip over a couple.
Did you know, this is a little factoid here for you. Did you know that the term bucket list didn't exist until that movie, The Bucket List, came out? It wasn't a term that people used. I read that.
No
somewhere.
way.
Yeah.
That can't be true, because the bucket list came out in 2000 something?
Yeah. I don't know, I read that somewhere.
I think somebody lied to you, I think.
I don't, because it's when you kick the bucket. You gotta have a bucket list.
Yeah, but I don't know. This is a popular movie,
I
but
suppose.
it's not a time traveling movie. I feel like it was
invented words. Movies can invent words.
Sure. All right, moving on. A couple other ones for my bucket list. I want to perfect a chili recipe, learn a second language, visit the new wonders of the world, and then I want to throw a baby puffin into the ocean in Iceland.
Oh, that's horrible.
This is in the course of these last 2 weeks.
I need more information about
Yeah,
that.
I'm kind of know more about the.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would be saving the puffin's life sort of thing.
Okay.
This last week, Holly was teaching the kids about animals or whatever, and for some reason they were learning about puffins.
Yep.
And apparently in Iceland, baby puffins when they're born and they need to like make their way out to sea, they get distracted by the lights at night, the lights of a city.
Oh yeah.
So a bunch of people, like parents and their kids, will run around town and like basically kidnap and abduct baby puffins. And then the next day they'll just throw them like footballs into the ocean.
But it's to save them. I mean, it's so
Yeah.
that they, or at least they have a chance at life.
Yeah. So I thought that'd be a fun thing to do.
That is, that's really good.
Thanks.
Can I
You
do
come
that
along.
with you?
Yeah,
Can
you sure
I come?
can. Yeah. We need to do like research and figure out when that is, but I think that'd be great. So and then there's a whole bunch of other standard stuff too. But so yeah, that's my bucket list. But a bucket list is a little bit too self-centered, I think, to cover this whole, ground of not wasting your time life-wise. So I made it's also too high level. I made a monthly it started as a bucket list kind of thing, but it's more of a checklist to be done every month. And this is something that for Holly and I to do, and this is more kind of ground level stuff. Things like spend a day doing a family activity, spend some time appreciating nature, improve a skill, read at least one book, practice music once a week or whatever, read a book to the kids, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So that is our, right now I have like a little checklist hanging on our calendar here in the kitchen. Then I thought the planning of a funeral seems to take its toll on families. It's a lot to do, and it's kind of like in a moment in their life when they're very sad and they want to mourn and stuff, and they got to try to plan this funeral.
Yeah.
A lot of funerals come out kind of, bland, just like dreary.
Yep.
And I kind of want my funeral to be more fun.
Yeah.
So I brainstormed some options for spicing up funerals, and anybody can take and run these if they want to. So the first one would be adding some mariachi bands, birthday cake, or balloon animals. This one's like more legitimate, but like slideshows of like actually happy or silly pictures, and then maybe like putt-putt golf or something. Not saying that all those would be at mine, but let's make funerals fun. Maybe.
Yeah. It reminds me of that, that meme that was going around. It was like, I think it was in Africa. There's these guys, they like dance
with
the coffin.
the coffin dance.
Yeah, there you go.
When I first saw that, I thought like, oh man, that's really weird. But then I was thinking about it and like, man, that's the way to go out. Just dancing away, like everybody just dances to your gravesite. Everybody's, they miss you, but like, hey, let's still have a good time.
Yeah, celebrate the life you led.
Yeah, man.
All right, so almost done. I'm getting there. Sorry.
Okay.
Did you guys do the 5 songs for your funeral?
I did.
Yes.
I
did it just like a little bit ago.
Okay.
I'm going to say I didn't put a whole lot of thought into it.
I'll run through mine right now, and then if you guys want to go, we can do that. And then I have a couple more after that. We'll come back to the songs. We'll do that.
Okay.
So skipping past the songs, if my future kids are listening to this, here's what I want you to do with my body when I die. Basically just put me in the ground, unpreserved, hopefully on my own property, preferably somewhere that Holly will be buried next to me when she dies 20 years after me or something.
Probably more like 40, knowing their genes.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. And then hopefully somewhere with a view, and then maybe like a little like reading bench nearby. And I decided, I thought about this, and all I want for like a grave marker is just something that says, "Here lies Travis Braband. He didn't waste time."
Oh, that's good.
Nice, man. Oh man,
that's good.
I don't know I don't know if I can top that, man. That's really good.
Yeah.
All right. So I also we got chicks. We're gonna raise chickens this year, and we all got to name some of them. So I named my chick Maury, the death chicken.
The death chicken.
Death chicken.
She get like a little executioner's mask and put it on her.
Yeah, we should do that. They'd be okay with that. And then the last thing to remind me and keep me on task for all of these things, I did get a tattoo to kind of remind me of all these things.
Oh shit!
You got a tattoo.
You actually got a tattoo?
I did. I'll put it in Discord here.
Oh, what?
Okay, there you go.
Whoa, that's a
Whoa,
That's a big tattoo.
that's a big tattoo.
All right, so that's on my right forearm, and for the listener, it's got kind of like a little nature scene. It's got a canoe, some mountains, and water and stuff like that. And then it's got the words, "All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given us."
Isn't that Lord of the Rings?
It sure
Like
is.
Gandalf?
Yep.
That's a really cool tattoo, actually.
That's a dope tattoo. Yeah.
Thanks. And I got it on Wednesday, and I had to like keep my sleeves down so Mike didn't see it at work.
Oh man. Okay, I think I have a clear idea who's the winner here,
I
but
think you might be right.
but should we?
I just have a picture on the wall of some stupid guy.
I just have some
got a tattoo.
I have some death memos kind of stapled around.
I mean, like to be fair, I've been wanting to get another tattoo, and like we talked a little bit about this, and like the opportunity just came up, and it kind of came together, and yeah, I'm happy with it. So
that's awesome, man. I like that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So those are all of the things.
That the Lord of the Rings like text style too.
I think so. I haven't read the book in a while, but I'll be doing it soon with Otto, so we'll figure it out.
So let's talk real quick about the metric. So basically, we were meant to figure out the best way to sustain this mindset of remembering your death and being aware of it, and also if we have any the best kind of enlightenment or epiphanies during it.
Mm-hmm.
Before we kind of pick a winner, let's talk about. I have two things I'd like to talk about. Let's go over the songs that we picked to play at our funeral, and then, well, Travis already kind of said, but Dan, I'm curious what you want done with your body when you die. And then I'll tell you what if you've thought about that yet.
I mean, I just want to be thrown in the ground. I don't know. Throw me in the trash. I don't care.
So I want to be my body given to science, and I want to either be in some like cheap biology class where some crappy college kids get to cut apart my testicles and learn how they work.
Yeah.
And then either that, or I want to be one of those ones where people learn about crime scene investigation and I get shoved in a garbage can for a month and a half.
Yeah.
Sure, the FBI forensics lab or whatever.
Are you gonna you should like hide some surprises in your body?
Yeah, little trinkets.
Yeah.
And then when it's done, they burn your, what's it called? They burn your body.
Remains. Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, and then I want to be turned into a firework and blasted off illegally somewhere.
Yep.
For all my family.
Yeah.
So what are you guys'
Hold on, I was gonna ask. I'm surprised, Mike, that you didn't go with the because apparently they still do, like, some people will take human bodies and turn them into those like waxworks museums or whatever.
I had that thought, and I've been to that, the Body Works, and it's amazing. Yeah. I dislike, because I know myself and I know my children, and when they're old enough to want to go to that, they'll probably go because they're weirdos just like me, because I went and saw it and it was awesome.
Right.
And
on a date.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. It was one of my first days with my current, with my wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but anyway, and then, so I don't want them to have to look at my plasticized dead eyeballs.
Yeah, it's kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
So.
All right, that's fair.
Yeah. So anyway, so what are your songs?
Well, I'll go first. I picked After You Die, which is a Tom Waits song about what it's like after you die. And he just lists a whole bunch of weird things about what he thinks it feels like. Don't Fear the Reaper, classic.
Oh, good one.
Classic.
Good one.
Nice. That's a good one.
Scatman, obviously.
The traditional
the morning song. Yeah. Edge of Night.
Hold on. Edge of Night. Is that from Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, that's the one
Okay.
that Pippin sings to the guy who's like massacring the tomatoes. I just like
Yeah.
it. It's a nice, pretty song. And then Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead.
There you go. Yeah. All right, because you had one from Lord of the Rings, I'll go next because I love Lord of the Rings and I've just gotten it tattooed on me. But like my songs, I have two of them from Lord of the Rings, and that's kind of not fair. I do like other things also. I wanted to put that disclaimer out there. The first song, "Into the West" by Van Canto. This is a popular song. It's in the Return of the King movie.
Okay.
But it's pretty.
Okay.
I try to pick my songs based on like I sort of imagine my family being at my funeral, so I try to like I guess pick things that would comfort my children or wife or you know. Next one was "Stand Tall" by Childish Gambino.
Nice.
Number 3 was "In Memoriam" by Globus. I don't think either of you have heard that. It's a very like powerful song. It's sung in Latin and it's very like orchestral and like very dramatic. And at the end of it, I want confetti cannons shot at the funeral. Number 4 was "The Last Goodbye" by Billy Boyd, which is amazing. If you haven't listened to it, you can go watch it. Like, there's clips of him singing it with like scenes from Lord of the Rings, and it brings a tear to my eye.
We have 2 Billy Boyd songs.
Yeah, it's true. He's a talented man.
We think we have very similar wavelengths in our brains.
Yep. And then number 5 was "If I Ever Leave This World Alive" by Flogging Molly.
Ooh,
No,
yeah. I was going to put that on there. That's a good one.
I was trying to pick a good Flogging Molly song, but I couldn't. I had some other ones in mind. So,
Sure.
right, is that your 5?
Yep, that's me. Oh, also,
Okay.
I have set my funeral playlist to my alarm clock. That's one that I didn't mention, but other things that I'm doing to, really focus. So,
Excellent.
go ahead.
Yeah. So my list. The first one I put on there was "Doing the Wrong Thing" by Khaki King, because in my opinion it's the perfect song.
Okay.
And then I want the "Always Look on the Bright Side of Life," from Monty Python.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep. And then "Hit the Road, Jack."
Nice.
And then the last two kind of seriouser ones is I would like "The Parting Glass," preferably sung by one of my children, because that's a song that I sing to them a lot of nights because they like it and I like it. And then
Nice.
and then the last one, because I'm hopeful that my children and family will continue to be musicians. I want a song written by somebody like either my kids or family member.
Nice.
That's what I want.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. You would be pretty safe in that guess. I can almost promise you somebody would be willing to take up that mantle.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so let's talk the winner. So Travis. Travis is.
I mean, it's Travis.
Travis
Yeah.
is the winner.
You got a tattoo.
You got a
yes,
tattoo.
please.
And also,
And I would argue he probably spent the most effort and made the most.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, Mike. You seem to have made some revelations.
I feel like I did, and I've kind of changed my path, I would say, and like this whole podcast has been very transformative for me.
Mhm.
And I
We're
think
only 3 episodes in, baby.
I know,
Yeah.
man, we're gonna be fully actualized, enlightened beings that can fly
Yeah.
by the end. My assumption.
That's right. Yeah. We're going to keep failing our way towards success.
Yeah, baby.
Yes.
So anyway, my vote's for Travis.
I mean, I don't even think it's even a vote. It's just like he wins.
I vote for me too. Thanks, guys. Cool. I get an honorific finally.
Yeah.
You do. You get a good one.
Yeah.
Now presenting the future corpse, Travis Braden.
Thank you, everyone. It's an honor to be named as the future corpse. I would like to use my time atop the podium to actually genuinely say to anyone listeners who have never contemplated mortality, it's a scary thing to do, but there is genuinely good to be done in your life there. So, I would just leave you with the words, don't waste your time. Do things that you actually care about.
Next time on Perpetual Incompetence.
Where they do the thing where, like, they open their mouth really wide and stick their
Yes.
tongue out.
Yes,
It's like
that's
breathing
exactly.
like that, but like just like hands on knees bent over and like full on terror face.